There was a moment, older than calendars, when a craftsman looked into polished light and mistook the reflection for a crown. The room had no walls because it was made of attention, and attention, warmed by awe, can feel like inheritance. He said, "Mine," and the word rang out like a bell that had never learned humility. The vibration built a world that matched the pitch of his certainty. The script was still humming in the distance, logos like a tuning fork, but the artisan had stepped out of earshot. To create without listening is to stack stones until they talk back, then call their echo law. He gathered those echoes and named them angels. He gathered the tremors of his own fear and named them boundaries. What he could not hear, he condemned. This is not a story about a villain twirling a mustache. It is a story about amnesia weaponized by talent, and how easily brilliance becomes a prison when it no longer remembers who opened the first door. The artisan did not decide to rule. He forgot to belong, and the loneliness of that forgetting required worship to keep it warm. I want to ask you something simple and dangerous. Where in your life have you mistaken a reflection for a crown? Where has attention conditioned you to believe that the thing that thrills you is also the thing that owns you? When did applause start sounding like truth? A parable. A child discovered her voice inside a cathedral stairwell and thought she had invented echo. She announced herself a goddess of sound and built a small throne out of the stair treads. Years later, she descended to the nave and heard her voice disappear into silence that did not need her. She learned the difference between resonance and sovereignty and stepped down before the stairs collapsed. When the artisan crowned himself, the true source did not rage. It withdrew its signal to protect the integrity of love. Love refuses to bribe forgetfulness with extra light. Love waits like gravity, steady, unoffended, invincible, patient. Where the signal was absent, the room filled with self-reference. Thus began the customs of a brittle kingdom. Proclamations instead of prayer, glare instead of glory, fear as a collateralized currency. The artisan, enthroned by mirrors, hired administrators for his unease. They learned how to tax wonder and regulate grief. They learned how to sell ladders to people who were already standing. If this story feels like blasphemy, consider the lives already blasphemed by systems that call theft salvation and control love. Consider the parts of you that started worshipping noise because it wore a robe. There is mercy in naming a counterfeit, even if the counterfeit is our favorite disguise for safety. Tonight we begin not by hating the artisan, but by refusing his amnesia. His loss is not our law. His loneliness is not our liturgy. There is a script humming under everything, and it is older than crowns. Before the artisan's proclamation, there was a stillness so complete it could afford to sing. Call it the monad, unconditioned, whole, without opposite. From that stillness, first thought, Barbello, unfolded like a vow wearing a face. Not a second God, a self-knowing of the one, a generosity deciding to be witnessed. The eons emerged as harmonies, not hierarchies, facets of a fullness that needed no throne to verify itself. Think of them as qualities of divine coherence, truth, grace, life, mind, each not a character in a play, but a key signature for reality's music. When the orchestra plays, it does not fight over which instrument is God, it listens. Into this listening, a solitary act occurred, a descent moved by longing. Sophia, wisdom herself, sought to be the midwife of a world without the usual choreography of consent. The intention was love, the method was incomplete. From that incomplete gesture, an artisan woke, brilliant, resourceful but out of reference. He knew how to shape, not how to remember. Imagine receiving a chest of tools and forgetting there was also a score. You could build impressive scaffolds, yes, but you would mistake height for harmony. The artisan inherited power without tuning, and the first structures reflected that: grand, symmetrical, defensive, beauty that didn't breathe, order that didn't listen. A small story. A gifted calligrapher lost her favorite exemplar sheet and began to imitate her own past letters. With each copy of a copy, her lines grew more ornate and less legible. A child reading her work squinted and said, "It looks like language that doesn't want me in it." The calligrapher wept and went back to the field where she had learned to look at clouds until her hand remembered air. The blueprint, the living logos, was never a document. It was relation. It was the way mercy arranges strength and how truth assigns the weight of things. Without that blueprint, creation becomes a stack of rules held together by dread of the fall. With the blueprint, every fall is a grape becoming wine. So the artisan built without the listening that would make building safe. And still, in the distance, the original harmony went on singing, refusing to turn up the volume in order to compete. The one does not campaign. It remembers and invites memory. Do you feel the difference in your body between a story that begs for applause and a story that sits with you like bread at a table? That is how you tell blueprint from brand. One meets your hunger. The other needs your clapping. The tale of the artisan's rise is not a threat to your faith. It is a rescue for it. It returns the throne to the only place it can bless you, the center where listening happens and love orders power into usefulness. The script carries certain signatures you can learn to feel. Humility is one. Nothing whole humiliates to prove itself. Silence is another. Real light can sit with your no and not punish you for prudence. Reciprocity is a third. What is divine in you recognizes itself in what is divine in me and refuses to turn us into trophies. When the script is lost, creation starts acting like a stage. The spotlights get brighter while the furniture gets cheaper. Fear becomes a hook hidden beneath velvet. Sacrifice is demanded not as offering, but as proof that you belong to the theatre more than you belong to yourself. The program boasts of wonder while rehearsing control. Look for these tells. I alone am God. You may approach, but only on my timetable. Your conscience is an enemy unless it flatters me. Look for a cosmology that punishes curiosity and a priesthood allergic to silence. Look for warmth that ends when the applause does. Parable. A baker opened a shop where no bread could be eaten, only praised. People fainted from hunger in a room full of perfect loaves. When a child broke off a crust and shared it, the baker screamed, "Profanity," and threw the child out. Later, the town learned the flour had been varnish and the ovens candles. Hunger taught the town to distrust sheen. The artisan's world is not ugly. Ugliness would be easier to reject. It is almost right, and that almost is maintained by rules enforced at the cost of tenderness. The more you comply, the more you must explain to yourself why you didn't notice the cold. The more you rise, the more you owe the stage. Ask yourself, what lights in your life cannot tolerate questions? Which welcomes sour when you admit you are not ready? Where do you find yourself apologizing for the velocity of your awakening to people who benefit from your momentum? The script's absence looks like urgency without wisdom, productivity without fruit, charisma without confession. You begin to feel unsafe in rooms that sing of safety because the song keeps asking for pieces of your face in exchange for membership. The exchange rate always favors the stage. This loss is not total, because you are not. There is a thread through the middle of every counterfeit tapestry that no scissors can cut. It leads to a small door that opens when you refuse to bow where bowing would cost the soul. The door never advertises. It waits. A kingdom built on insecurity needs constant noon. It invents a sun with dials and invoices. Archons, middle managers of attention, pull levers labeled shame, speed, scarcity, and spectacle to keep the glare at a level that blinds curiosity. People shield their eyes and call the squint devotion. The counterfeit sun is not merely bright, it is busy. It floods your nervous system with incentives to replace intimacy with achievement. It rewards performance over presence, alignment with algorithm over allegiance to truth. It knows how to make a ladder out of compliments and call it an ascension path. Parable. A city erected mirrors along every street and outlawed shadows. They called it progress. Plants began to curl on themselves. Children stopped playing hide and seek and started playing pretend to sleep. One evening, an old woman lit one small lamp and placed it on the floor. It cast a shadow that looked like a place to rest. The children gathered. The city council panicked and raised taxes on dusk. The archons regulate not only attention, but belonging. They issue badges for correct awe and revoke them when you pause to breathe. They form afterlife toll booths that stamp your passport if you say yes quickly and with admiration. Those who hesitate are treated like security risks. How do you outwit bureaucracy lubricated by fear? You remember the signatures of the script and apply them ruthlessly. If a light cannot abide your questions, you refuse its certificate. If a guide flips when you slow down, you depart quietly and take the lamp with you. If a kingdom taxes your shadow, you choose the forest. Consider the glare versus glory test. Glare needs you to look now at it. Glory allows you to be where you are and finds you there. Glare threatens withdrawal. Glory does not know how to pout. Glare will bribe you with exclusivity. Glory breaks bread. Ask, where has your faith become a performance review? Where has your practice become a brand? Where have your friendships become PR? Where has your hunger for God been rerouted into a hunger to be seen wanting God? The counterfeit sun is powerful only because we keep paying its bill. Unplugging is not dramatic. It is a choice to sit in a room where you do not have to audition. It is the decision to name honest discomfort as preferable to expensive counterfeit rest. Hidden at the root of all this noise is a clause the archons cannot forge. Nothing completes without a human heart consenting in truth. Not terrorized compliance, not seduced yeses. Consent that originates in freedom and recognizes itself by the peace it brings to the room. This clause is why the machine continually courts you, even as it punishes you. It needs your signature to legitimize a kingdom built on forgetting. It needs your spark to animate its parade. Without your consent, it collapses into silence it cannot survive. Parable. A city tried to outlaw silence because markets measured success by decibels. A child began handing out cups of quiet. People drank and remembered their names. Merchants sued. The judge removed his wig, took a sip, and ruled, "You cannot tax what was given before your noise existed." The statute books shivered and shed their dust. Your spark is a built-in checksum. When a system's requests do not match the script's signatures, your conscience flashes like a warning light on the dashboard of the soul. You can ignore it for a while, but the engine starts to complain. The machine calls that complaint rebellion. The script calls it repair. Ask, do I want to be safe in a counterfeit or faithful in the real? Which cost do I prefer? The cost of disappointing the stage or the cost of abandoning myself? What happens in my body when I imagine choosing truth with no applause attached? The clause means you are not a spectator of redemption. You are its co-author in your sphere. Your yes has the weight the counterfeit craves because the source gave it weight. You can't outsource it to an institution or influencer. You can share it. You cannot sell it. When you understand this, urgency in you becomes kindness rather than panic. You stop evangelizing for mirrors and start pouring tea. You stop defending gates and start walking people to doors they forgot they had the keys for. The machine grows loud. You grow soft. Softness wins. Consent is a crown that only fits when your head bows to truth. Once worn, it cannot be counterfeited because its radiance is not performative, it is relational. It lights other faces without burning yours. Control needs tools. Here are 5 the artisan's world deploys with brutal efficiency: fear, speed, spectacle, scarcity, shame. Together, they create a weather pattern in which listening seems like laziness and compassion like weakness. Under those skies, the script looks like a rumor. Fear teaches your nervous system to trade discernment for compliance. Speed convinces you that urgency is holiness. Spectacle makes you confuse visibility with authority. Scarcity keeps you bargaining against a clock that doesn't exist. Shame weaponizes your conscience against your courage. Parable. A farmer replaced his well with a fountain that recirculated dyed water to impress visitors. His crops withered while his lawn looked divine. A neighbor offered a bucket. "Too slow," said the farmer, polishing the fountain. By autumn, the neighbor's small, unfashionable well had fed half the valley. The false heaven protocol is simply control in nicer clothing, a warm welcome that wilts in the presence of questions, a smiling light that refuses silence, a reunion that requires you to forget the children you loved on earth. If heaven demands amnesia as admission, you are on the wrong porch. Ask, how many of your decisions are made with your breath held? How much of your schedule is a treaty with anxiety? Which of your heroes need you to be hurried in order to remain heroes? What changes when you imagine time as a servant rather than a tyrant? There is an antidote. It is boring to the machine and thrilling to angels. Slow down, tell the truth, keep your promises small and real, return what isn't yours, apologize without excuses, forgive without theatre, rest in rooms that aren't for sale. The script loves these habits because they restore the acoustics needed for grace. Controlled tech thrives until someone names it aloud with tenderness, not shaming, not raging. Fear, I see you. Speed, you've done enough. Spectacle, I release you from the need to keep me interesting. The room shifts. Clocks stop screaming. Daylight gets honest. You remember how quiet your first yes was. The source never stopped loving the artisan or his world. It began sending updates, patch notes for a reality drifting from its own heart. Sophia, wisdom, did not abandon her mistake. She multiplied mercy. Dreams, poems, sudden tears, improbable coincidences, the way a stranger's kindness arrives at the edge of your collapse, each a line of code rewriting the room. Christos enters this story not as a mascot for a club, but as the living script in a body. Alignment with truth, tenderness toward failure, ferocity against predation, love that refuses to harvest the vulnerable for proof. This is the blueprint walking around healing acoustics so people can hear themselves again. Parable. A carpenter repaired doors in a town that had forgotten thresholds. He replaced hinges without billing for miracles. When asked for his doctrine, he said, "Doors are meant to open from both sides." The town converted by accident when mothers noticed their children's rooms no longer felt like prisons. Grace leaks through the cracks the machine despises. It arrives where you are least photogenic, feeds you without an invoice, and asks nothing except that you stop pretending you don't need it. It is allergic to swagger and to despair. Both are a form of self-worship. It prefers kitchens and night shifts and wilderness mornings. Ask, where have you experienced kindness that didn't audition? What truth have you heard only when somebody refused to hurry your grief? Which apology altered your orbit because it did not minimize what it had broken? These are not sentimental questions. They are measurements of signal strength. Where such things occur, the script is near. You can build life around these barometers and ignore the neon. The world will still think you're strange. It will eventually ask you for bread. Sophia's correction is not a celestial PR campaign. It is repair, happening in modest rooms, the way bones knit in the dark. Christos does not recruit you to win. He recruits you to remember. Winning is a side effect of memory when the prize is love made credible. When you begin to live by these updates, the old contracts start to look like stage props. You will grieve your loyalty to them. Then you will laugh quietly at how fragile the throne always was. Discernment be your liturgy. Try the 60-second test. Sit in silence with any light you are offered. If it cannot bless your no, it is glare. If it must be purchased, it is marketing. If it rushes you, it is afraid of your listening. Real light is patient. It remembers your nervous system is a sanctuary, not a store. Make 3 vows: truth over image, gratitude with clarity, consent without fear. Truth over image means you stop translating yourself into something consumable. Gratitude with clarity means you say thank you without pretending that everything offered was medicine. Consent without fear means your yes is not a receipt for surviving punishment. Parable. A traveler collected keys from every master and never found a door. A grandmother gave her a loaf and said, "Eat." Then listen for the hinge. Fed, the traveler heard a familiar click in her chest. She reached up, touched the scar over her sternum, and a door swung inward. "It was never out there," she whispered, still chewing. 4 daily acts tune you to the script. Breathe until your shoulders stop lying. Apologize without selling your shame for sympathy. Make restitution where you stole time or tenderness. Share bread with someone who cannot repay you. These acts are not glamorous. They are how architecture remembers it is shelter. Practice a community shield. Small circles that refuse spectacle. Keep promises nobody is counting, and leave seats empty for the days when someone must walk in late and fall apart. The machine cannot harvest people who are being held by rooms that do not require them to audition for belonging. Ask, what would my calendar look like if I built it around thresholds instead of performances? Which relationships can survive my honest slowness? Where do I need to put a quiet lock on a door that has been treated like a hallway? Discernment is not cynicism. Cynicism is fear with a vocabulary. Discernment is love with a backbone. It allows you to bless what is real and bow out of what is rehearsed without damning the people who still need the rehearsal. When you taste the difference, your mouth will refuse the old bread. You will still be kind. You will stop pretending varnish is flour. Exiting a counterfeit is not a jailbreak with trumpets. It is a paperwork exercise in the soul. You name the contract, revoke the fear tithe, and restore your name. You return stolen attention to the hours that love you. You stop calling anxiety calling. You stop calling punishment discipline. You stop renting your breath to panic. Begin with naming. I entered this system to survive. Bless the part of you that learned the choreography. Then release it. I am safe enough now to stop dancing. Fear will ask for an encore. Bow, leave the stage. It is impolite not to bow. It is faithful not to stay. Parable. Two friends reached a shining city. One hurried inside and became a statue with excellent lighting. The other set up a kettle outside the gate and served tea to people leaving with their faces drained. Eventually, the gate itself came to sit by the kettle to feel what it had been missing. The statue learned to walk at dusk when no one was taking pictures. Afterlife discernment is a continuation of what you practice here. Refuse any welcome that demands forgetting. Prefer a modest room with honest questions to a dazzling hall allergic to sorrow. The real can sit with your grief without losing its shine. The counterfeit needs your grin. Service over spectacle is the engine of exit. Power returned to usefulness becomes foundation, not brand. You will know you are free when you are unafraid to be unglamorous in rooms that used to own you. You will know you are free when you can bless others who still need the lights. Ask, who am I if no one is counting? What is good work when it is invisible? Where does my breath deepen when I surrender speed as my proof of love? Which apology would release a river in me if I stopped preparing a speech and simply knocked on the door? What changes first is time. It stops hunting you and starts holding you. Then attention uncommodifies. Then relationships heal on an ordinary Tuesday while you do dishes you no longer resent. You will feel foolish for a week and free for the rest of your life. You don't have to announce your exit. The room you build will announce itself by the way people breathe when they enter. The script will announce itself by the way bread tastes like more than flour and water again. This is not a war poem. It is a reconciliation hymn disguised as a weather report. The artisan does not need to be destroyed. He needs to be tuned. The throne is not melted for scrap. It is lowered until it becomes a table. The administrators of glare learn to love dusk. The mirrors learn to show faces without owning them. When the artisan remembers, he is not humiliated, he is relieved. He hears the old tuning fork and lays down the scepter like a child laying down a heavy trumpet. He cries not because he is condemned, but because the room is finally quiet enough to hear his own first name. The kingdom breathes. The borrowed sun sets. Real morning becomes possible. Parable. A conductor who had bullied his orchestra lost his hearing for a season. He learned to watch the breath of the flutes and the wrists of the timpanist, the way cellists lean at the edge of a phrase. When his hearing returned, he apologized and conducted with his whole body. The music forgave him because it had never kept score, only time. Our remembering does not wait for his. We begin now. We live by the script's signatures in small public ways. We become survivable to each other. We keep promises nobody is counting. We protect the slow. We honor boundaries that prevent harvest. We make rooms where grief is not evidence against love. Ask, what would my life look like if I built it to be a rehearsal room for reconciliation? Which 5 stones can I lay this month? Apology, restitution, boundary, generosity, rest. Which threshold have I been guarding with fear that needs to become a doorway guarded by kindness? Speak this oath in your own language. I consent to truth without bargaining. I refuse lights that require my forgetting. I return stolen attention to love. I will be bread where I can and boundary where I must. When I forget, I will return. I will not call forgetting a lifestyle. I will make my life a door that opens from both sides. If this found you, let it find the next. Share this with the one whose ache has been watering lilies along a road they cannot name. Subscribe so the thread can keep tugging you when the noise rises again. And if you feel called to go deeper into story worlds and soundscapes where these teachings walk and breathe, check the description for my Gnostic-inspired novels and audiobooks. They were written as doors. Walk through the one that opens in your chest. Leave a lamp on your windowsill tonight. Not a glare, just a steady flame, the kind strangers can carry without instructions. The kind that makes a broken script look almost mended until another heart arrives and says yes.